Welcome, one and all, to Pacific414 episode review. I'm your host, Mike, and in this episode, I'm going to be reviewing episode 5 of season 1 of Chucky, called Little Lies. And in this episode, it picks back up right at the hospital where we see Caroline in a recovery room, and her father's there. She comes to, and he starts talking to Caroline, and she says, "I want Chucky." And her father tells her that Chucky doesn't look the way she last saw him. Chucky, well, he's disfigured. He's melted, all due to the fire. So Caroline starts crying and saying that she wants Chucky some more, and her father waits for her to basically draw attention elsewhere, and he takes Chucky and throws him down a garbage chute. And in that garbage chute, well, that's where all the used needles and other paraphernalia from the hospital are shot down into a dumpster. And when Jake and Lexi and Devon get wind of this, they actually go to said dumpster where the hazardous waste material is, meaning all the used up needles and drug paraphernalia. Well, they start digging in this dumpster, and Jake actually uses a broom, stands on a garbage pail, and Lexi actually has gloves on, starts sifting through all the different bags of, the disposed medical waste, and they don't find Chucky. So it next cuts to Lexi and her family going back into the house. It's under repair. There's plastic all over the place, cover the furniture and the lamps. Of course, everything's all burnt out due to the fire. Lexi's mom puts the sole blame of the damage to the house on Lexi herself, and Lexi's dad asks, after Lexi's mom goes through some disposition, talking about how the house is going to be repaired. Lexi's dad asks, "Well, how's it going to be repaired?" And Lexi's mom, being the mayor, says that it's going to be repaired with taxpayers' money. Lexi actually doesn't approve of that and starts storming off after her mother tells her that she's grounded, and goes to go up to her room, and then, of course, alters her course and goes into another room in the house. Meanwhile, Jake and Devon, and this is back at the school the next day. Well, Jake and Devon are in the science class. Of course, they're going over the fact that Oliver's dead. And of course, Lexi's there too. And they're all concerned because they weren't able to find Chucky when they went sifting through the dumpster with all the medical waste. So what ends up happening is the three of them come up with a plan that if they were to find Chucky anywhere or hear about Chucky anywhere, they'd let each other know about it as soon as possible. Well, long story short, there's a discussion between Junior and Jake's Uncle Logan and Jake's Aunt Bree, and they're talking about how Junior is going to be back in the Nationals, even though the doctor specifically said that Junior has to take the month off in his lungs, and how Logan was able to pull a few strings to get Junior on the team. There's an argument. Lexi starts sending a text message to Jake, and the reason why she's sending a text message to Jake is because Chucky's all of a sudden shown up at the house, and Lexi's father sees him there in the room that Caroline's in, which is actually Lexi's mom's office. So he throws Chucky into the trash can, and Lexi texts both Jake and Devon to come to her house so they can get rid of Chucky. Well, they get there, and Lexi's got the trash can lid on the trash can. She's holding it down so Chucky won't come out. So the boys get there on their bikes. They get off the bikes. Jake's got a bag. They place Chucky in a black bag, and then they start stomping on the doll and they tear it apart. And of course, before this even happened, there was also a moment where Lexi herself even tried to destroy Chucky before Lexi's father threw him in the trash can. But I didn't bring that up because, well, it really didn't matter to that point, in my opinion. So the three of them start celebrating, thinking that they've destroyed Chucky, and they go off on their bikes. Devon and Jake share a moment between one another, symbolizing that they're a couple. Of course, this was foreshadowed back at the school when the two boys were standing in the hallway, and there's a shrine to Oliver, the boy killed by Chucky in episode 3. Well, they foreshadowed the moment of the two boys becoming a couple, so they're an item now. And then what ends up happening is we actually do see the return of Chucky himself. And Chucky isn't looking so good. He's actually outside of Lexi's sister Caroline's room of the house. Well, it's her room for the moment because it's the mayor's office, and we don't know what happens until the end of the episode with Chucky. But what we see is, prior to this scene, is Lexi's father gives Caroline a new good guy doll named Tommy. So Tommy is the new good guy doll. Chucky's on the outside. Chucky disfigured, and he's got a plan up his sleeve. What's that plan? I'll tell you in just a bit. So, what ends up happening, short and sweet, is there's a meeting back at the school. The principal is there. She's greeting all the parents. And the reason why they're back at the school in the auditorium, more specifically, is because the mayor, Lexi's mother, is about to give a speech. And on a side note, before the scene even happens, we find out that Jake's aunt has stage 4 cancer. So, where that's going to lead as far as the rest of this season goes or into next season, we'll see. But meanwhile, back at the school where they're having this town hall meeting, and Lexi's mom is being a politician, saying everything's going to be all right. Citizens of Hackensack have nothing to worry about. Well, she makes her speech. Devon's mom is on stage saying that they are investigating all the recent murders and they're trying to narrow it down to the culprit. And then after Devon's mom speaks, she calls on the principal. Well, the principal doesn't come, at least not right away. What ends up happening is you see the principal's head rolling from behind the curtains, eyes blink, and then we see Chucky, or in this case, Tommy, opening up the curtains, and we see the decapitated body of the principal. Of course, all the parents are there. Caroline's there with her father. Of course, Caroline's eyes are being covered because of the sight. And we see Chucky, he's smiling, and we get a little backstory of how this happened. You know that new good guy doll, Tommy? Well, there was a scene in the episode where Chucky's on the outside looking in while it's raining and is able to find his way into the house. And while he's inside the house and Caroline's there, she's sleeping, and she's got her new good guy doll, Tommy, right next to her. Well, her not so good friend Chucky does a soul transfer. And you want to know why he does this soul transfer? Because 9 fragments of Charles Lee Ray's soul have been transferred into various items. And we find this out because there's a flashback and it leads to young Chucky back in the 80s meeting a few people, murdering one woman that he met in the club. And of course, like I said, this is back in the 80s, and it flashed forward a few years where we see Nika from Curse of Chucky. And she is possessed by Chucky. And who else do we see? Well, we see Tiffany, played by Jennifer Tilly. So they're there. They're committing murders, mass murders. You have a girl who was put in the insane asylum, and well, she's possessed. She's possessed by Chucky, and she kills a man after already killing a man. So, after all is said and done, Chucky's alive and well, and he's not going anywhere anytime soon, as he's has the ability, as he has had before, especially in the Child's Play movies, to transfer his soul into a new body, which is something he tried to do in the first Child Play movie with Andy, and he wasn't successful. And speaking of Andy, looks like we're going to see him in the next episode, or at least get a hint of him, seeing how, according to the teaser, here I thought there were 10 episodes of the series. Well, I was wrong. Nope, there are only 3 episodes left. So only 8 episodes in this whole entire season. So we shall see where these last 3 episodes of season 1 lead us. I don't know if Chucky's been renewed for season 2. I will try to find that information between now and Pop Talk, or now and the next episode review for Chucky. But overall, this was, it had its graphic moments, but it also gave you more of Chucky's backstory. Not that we didn't know some of it already, thanks to the Child's Play movies. uh, especially what we've seen, what we've been told by Chucky himself. So, this was a very good episode. I thought it was. And, it had some more character development. You knew that Jake and Devon were probably going to become, an item, or, become very close friends at some point, just because the hints had been dropped quite heavily, as a matter of fact. But overall, the series is what it is. You just got to go in, turn off your brain, and enjoy it for what it is. And that's what I try to do when I'm watching these episodes. Now, I know I didn't do a live watch party, but I figured, since I have something else in mind for Thursday, I'll at least do a live episode review, which is what I'm doing right now. And yeah, I probably should have said that at the beginning of this video, but I didn't, and I do apologize about that. So overall, I honestly, even though this was a good episode, I'd still have to be honest and say that it's a 3.5 out of 5. It did have some moments where it's like, okay, so they're basically just going back and rehashing some elements of Chucky's story, the Child's Play movies and its sequels, bringing back Jennifer Tilly as Tiffany, that's always a nice touch too. So again, we'll see where this next episode goes. Only 3 episodes left, so we shall see. And by the end of these 8 episodes, who knows what my overall opinions of this series is going to be, considering, when we started off, I only gave the first episode a 2.5 out of 5. And then, of course, a couple of 4.5s thrown in there. But this episode is a 3.5 out of 5. So until next time, this has been Mike for Pacific414 episode reviews. If you liked the review, thank you. Leave a thumbs up, leave a comment. If you didn't like the review, leave a thumbs down. Doesn't really matter if you leave a thumbs down, because that tells me that there was something you didn't like, and I can probably improve on it. So until next time, I shall see you all later. Have yourselves a great rest of your day, great rest of your evening, great rest of your morning, whatever time it is when you're watching this, and thank you.